corny with that Illuminati mess.
The ancient bloodlines is back, and my ancestry says Benin. And you niggas screaming Illuminati is whack. Y'all niggas never talk about how Haiti used African spirituality to beat Napoleon's white ass. Any nigga screaming somebody Illuminati is an agent in the mind. They're disconnected from the spiritual power, the real power that runs this entire shit. If they ain't showing you how to beat Illuminati, it's cause they Illuminati bitch. Tupac said it. Illuminati killed the Illuminati. Pac shot 2 out-of-duty police officers and the charges was dropped. That ain't Illuminati. That ain't white supremacy. That's the power of God, the glory of God to awaken you, you stupid motherfuckers.
Hey, 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 hey. It's Ampu, the real urban guru. Coming through, man. Welcome to Hip Hop Astrology TV special editions that I'm about to start getting into, dealing with the Illuminati, dealing with you God body or you Illuminati. So today's topic is going to be Rick Ross, the boss. God body or Illuminati? Now, I know that this type of subject matter is about to burn you conspiracy nuts and niggas up, because I'm already burning y'all up. All right. But I want you, before I even get into the dialogue, I want you to just think about the spirit, which is an invisible intelligence that majority of you believe in, called God. In science, they call it quanti. And there's a 13-letter word that science can't stand. The old school scientists, the Newtonian boys, called consciousness. See, I want to get into the quote-unquote reality of which you see in physical space-time continuum, or what's real, or what's facts, or what actually took place. Not some elaborate scheme of what you think is taking place. Ooh, let me be clear. I want to get into facts about things that have taken place, and not about some elaborate theme that you think is going to take place. All right. Very important to understand that. And so with that said, you notice that Rick Ross has tattoos. Let me pull it up here. He has tattoos of both Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Now, on one side of the ledger, you're going to have people who are going to say, why does he have these white men on him? He's a sellout. He all about the money. George Washington was a slave owner. Abraham Lincoln did not set niggas free. That's what you're going to hear. And a lot of people are hiding. I'm laughing on the Abe Lincoln piece because I guess I'm going to start there a little bit. Because when I say, well, Abe Lincoln set niggas free, I start hearing all these elaborate stories on, well, he really didn't want to do it. Well, if he really didn't want to do it, you have to look at the force that still compelled him to do something that he didn't want to do. So we still winning, because now that makes it even better. He consciously didn't want to engage in a war to get black folks free, but he went against his own conscience and did it anyway. What is that force? Because I like that force. Okay, see, on this show right here, you're going to have to pick a side. And the side is real simple. Either you like telling and hearing the story of how white people are so diabolical and how they're so smart that you will always find issues in dialogue that deal with solutions. Because you always want to tell the story from the perspective of white people are tricking you. Or you can tell the story from what I would call the God side, the God body side, that says everything in creation is based off the intelligence of this creator. You got to pick a side. So are you on the Illuminati side or are you on the God body side? Okay. So when I'm hearing these elaborate stuff about Abe Lincoln, it's like, well, the South was making so much money that the North wanted to get in on it. Okay, fine. But why didn't the North say, let's make an agreement? We don't have to kill each other. Let's transport some of these niggas up north and lock them and chain them up to machines and have them work in our new industrialization factories absolutely free. Why let you get out of chain and bondage? See, at what point in time do you realize you are not a slave? And guess what? I heard that too. I heard a comment was literally said, I disagree. Slavery never ended. It just evolved. So now you have a whole group of people who think that when they became, I don't want to say enlightened, because surely that's not enlightenment. When they think they became a little bit smarter by reading Black history and Black facts, the Black history and the Black facts speak to so much pain that you think slavery has evolved. And therefore you see yourself as a slave. But the truth of the matter is the Harriet Tubmans of the world, they're looking at you like you got opportunity here. You're not a slave. You're not on a plantation. You may think your job is one, but change your job then. If you don't like your job, create one that you want to like. Nobody's stopping you from living your bliss. If they are, I want you to expose them. Stop protecting them. Stop talking about how smart they are. I want you to finally come out the closet and say, this person right here came to me and stopped me from living my dream because they said they was down with the Illuminati or a power source. Okay? Because nobody's stopping you. All right. So I done heard we slaves. We ain't slaves. That's bull crap. We are not slaves. All right. So I want to show you something. I want to get into this picture right here because Rick Ross, remember, we are in the age of Aquarius. This is where we're here for the next 2,000 years. And this is where we start to deal with freedom, humanity, information. Aquarius also rules astrology. Okay. Now, I just pose a question. My question is, since we're in this age, is it likely that we will see Aquarian people come through and they will be able to start to show us the way, some insight? Will God's energy to a degree start to manifest itself a little bit more in fellow Aquarians since we're in that age for the next 2,000 years? So when you have the Abraham Lincoln, who's an Aquarius, who definitely was the catalyst of getting black folks free. I heard another response to that, like, Abe Lincoln didn't get nothing free. Study the Gullah Wars. Listen, bro, I'm not talking about in these little side pocket rebellions or even big rebellions. I'm talking about what was the catalyst that made the Southern Confederate Army, General Lee, and everybody up under him surrender. Was it the Gullah Geechee? Was it the Native Americans? Was it black folks? Or was it the Union Army? We got to keep it real. And it hurts you so much so to admit these facts that's on the record. I don't know why. It's not. I don't know why it does, but it do. It's kind of like you can't admit that abolitionists was on the Underground Railroad, white folks helping black folks out when black folks was looking at the North Star getting free. It's ridiculous. And we got to snap out of it. So I want to deal with George Washington first, because George Washington, we say, is a slaveholder. Now, I'm about to burn y'all up with a comment, and I'm going to get to it later, but this is kind of laying the base. George Washington was a slaveholder. Here's a picture of Benjamin Banneker, the black man, the black clockmaker, made an ephemeris, was able to predict solar and lunar eclipses, had notes on the stars and astrology, but I'm not going to even show that yet. I'm going to wait till I get in some dialogue with my astronomer friends on that one. Benjamin Banneker was dealing with astrology. I want to be very clear about that, and I can prove it. And Andrew Ellicott in the red. Andrew Ellicott and Benjamin Banneker was in charge of designing and surveying a future land now known as Washington, D.C., the power structure of the world. A black man is in charge of designing and surveying where it would be, and also what are some astronomical correspondences that will go along to the physical design of this new area called Washington, D.C. Facts. Now, if George Washington, and he was a slave owner, I want to look at the spirit, since you say you believe in God, the spirit of consciousness for my science folks. That what made George Washington not say, I don't want to take anything from this black nigga. He need to get in his place because I see all niggas as slaves. What was the force that allowed George Washington, a slave owner, to accept the fact that a free black man was able to survey and set up the design for the new government? That's God. That's the spirit force that I want to get into. Okay? See, let's look at that. Because you had free black men. Benjamin Banneker. You had some free black men up north. You had freedmen. This is a fact. All black folks were not slaves. Facts. So now here's another question. If all black folks were not slaves, can you authentically say that there is a conspiracy or was a conspiracy to enslave all black people? How can you say that when you had free black folks? Some people wasn't slaves. In fact, when we dig a little bit deeper, some black folks was walking around here with the first name Prince. A few of them. Okay? So if you had free black people in the time of slavery, why didn't the slave people, white folks, say, nope, it ain't gonna be no free niggas. All niggas shall be slaves. Why? Because there was never a conspiracy to enslave all of black folks. Now, I already know my trolls are going to have a fit about this, and that's fine. I want you to prove it. You can't prove it because, again, all black people wasn't slaves. And they very well could have made all black people slaves. But you must ask yourself why they wasn't. So since you can't dispute that fact, don't even comment on that comment that I just made. Okay? Now let's look at this Benjamin Banneker picture. George Washington, Andrew Ellicott. And I want you to please note that Benjamin Banneker and George Washington look like they're wearing the same attire. Their status is the same. In fact, if you're standing and everyone else is sitting, you are the authoritative person. Rightfully so, because he's the one that knows the astronomical design and he's the one that's doing the mapping. This picture is really cryptic. And let me say the origins of this famous, beautiful picture comes directly from me going inside of what's known as number 1 North Broad Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is known as the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania of European Freemasonry. As soon as you went in there, you make a right, then make a left and go down their hallway. This picture was on the right wall. They're not hiding the fact that George Washington, the first president of the United States and Freemason, was given a map by a black man. I went inside of that and took that picture. Facts. European Masons are not hiding that fact. So now here's another question. If some European Masons, or let's say all, if all European Masons wanted to hide the fact about your black heritage, why would they have this hanging up in their hallway for the general public to see? Because not all Masons, and here go the statement that's going to burn you up, not all European Masons were down with your enslavement. That's a fact, because all black folks weren't slaves. Another fact. So the real conspiracy, here comes the burn. The real conspiracy was the Masonic agenda was to get black folks up out of slavery. Ooh-wee. Wait till I prove it. And I will in its due time. But you can just start to see the facts of the matter, and you start to see it makes perfect sense. So this picture is really cryptic, dealing with the federal triangle. These men are in a triangular position, and this is going to represent 3 buildings in Washington, D.C. in a future date. Let's move to the next picture. This is an aerial shot, a map of Washington, D.C. Point number 1, where Benjamin Banneker was standing, is the White House. Point number 2 is the Washington Monument. Please note that the Washington Monument is Egyptian or African in its origin, and it is pointing to the heavens. Therefore, the heavens have planetary bodies up there. So it's a representation in showing you the power of the cosmos. Facts. Point number 3 is the United States Capitol building, which is the building that makes the laws. A slide that I'm going to have to throw in here is, at the Capitol building, there is a statue on the front porch on the right-hand side of a statue of the god Mars, the god of war. This is an astronomical and astrological fact that the Capitol building has a planetary body there. These 3 buildings and monument, in a sense, make up the federal triangle, and you can see that street goes on a slant, forming the triangle known as a hypotenuse inside of geometry. Okay. Now, Benjamin Banneker aligned these based off of 3 fixed stars. Number 1, Arcturus. Number 2, Spica. And number 3, where they make the laws at, Regulus. This is where the eclipse just took place at, in front of Regulus. Shout out to Nate Dogg. Shout out to Warren G. Regulators, mount up. Go and look at the Nate Dogg video that I did, and I showed you how him and Warren G were born with energy, sun and moon, just like an eclipse, the sun and moon, right here in front of Regulus, and then they made a song called Regulators. Y'all better get hip to what God is telling you, okay? So this is an astronomical alignment. Now, let's get into Abraham Lincoln a little bit. Abraham Lincoln is flanked by 2 men who appear to put their right hand inside of their vest pocket or vest over the heart. George Washington is on the far right, known to have taken a picture to do the same thing. This is a Masonic gesture in a certain cryptic degree. Okay, facts. So now my question or my point will be is, wait a minute. Abraham Lincoln went against white Southern Confederate folks. This is a fact. George Washington went against the status quo and allowed a black man, Benjamin Banneker, to build Washington, D.C., to survey it, to line it up. Facts. I'm not going to even get into what this degree represents. I'm just want to show you something on surface. Facts. So, as a great esteemed elder, Anthony Browder, who has a book called Egypt on the Potomac, talking about Washington, D.C. is really Egypt in the Western Hemisphere. And this is a book talking about a guide to decoding Egyptian architecture and symbolism in Washington, D.C. Stop. So how can you scream Illuminati and white supremacy on one side when the truth of the matter, this whole government is a mirror of Egyptian, which is African, civilization? You can't have it both ways. Either you are in control or you not. And since you're not, quote unquote, the ones that's running it in power, is God or the conscious, the quanti, intelligent enough to operate and put its ideas into white folks to build things that will get you to reverence them, to get you to remember them, just so you can wake up to your great power? Question. In other words, could certain Masons be inside of society and government holding the keys that will awaken you so you can take your rightful spot? Because guess what? I know no one is stopping you right now. And y'all can't stand that. I had made a comment about Jay-Z is successful, and you see Sprint giving millions of dollars to be a part and push the brand. That's success. That's this corporate excellence, this black excellence that we need to be on. And then it's like, well, Jay-Z, I used to work for a record company, and Jay-Z did this to his mama. At what point can we just say, listen, I don't even listen. A man's morality, that's between him and his maker. I am talking about, when do you take responsibility to build something that's great for you? Nobody's stopping you from living the life that you want to live. Nobody. So then when you see Rick Ross on his backside, who has tattoos of King Tut, what appears to be Nefertiti and Horus, and you see this great Egyptian energy, Minister Jew always says that the hieroglyphics are no longer on the walls of Egypt. They're living inside of your DNA, and certain people are walking, living expressions of the hieroglyph. So to go back and look at a dusty sand pyramid and look at some things on the wall just to speak neb, noot, noot, that does nothing. And it's a divorce of where you're at right now. So how do you bridge the gap? The problem in America is, you think when you have to get smart and become conscious, you have to divorce yourself from your cultural experience, and then your whole psychology has to go 100% Eastern, which is not the Western reality of where you live. So how do you get the enlightenment, and how do you have the physicality of the things that you want to enjoy in peace and prosperity? That's the name of the game. So when we see Rick Ross, who also has this white guy tattooed, and I bet my life, and I know exactly who that is. That's my general. That's General Ulysses Grant, also known as President Grant, that's on the $50 bill. That's the general that made the white boy, General Lee, the Confederate boys, stand down, beat them at war, and made General Robert Lee surrender, and the Confederates gave up on the idea of slavery. Why is Rick Ross channeling this energy and bringing you this? Why? Why? Is it really a conspiracy to do what? Why do he have to get rich? Why do he have to create a campaign called Buy Back the Block that inspired many of people? Why do he have to buy rallies? Why do he have to buy wing stops? Why do he have to buy these things, employ people, give people hope and inspiration? Why does he have to do these things? A conspiracy to do what? It makes no sense at the end of the day, and y'all got to stop it. And I'm going to smash it. I'm sorry. So, Rick Ross, Illuminati, or God body? God body. God body. All day and day. And I'll close with General Grant is in my people that's in Philadelphia, the birthplace of the nation, down in Fairmount. You seen the statue perhaps of General Grant on a horse, since the statues are coming down in this day and time. At this time of this recording, it's August 25th, 2017. The drama in America is now Confederate statues are being snatched out of racist Virginia. Virginia even agreeing. Baltimore even agreeing. Certain states that were so-called racist and under Confederate control are removing. They're actually removing Confederate statues. So if you're in the Philly area, you want to get to this particular power base right here. This is power right here. This is the man that you really should be studying. Bump, Sun Tzu, Hannibal, and all those. They're great. But what about a general who helped get you free? Real talk. All right. So with that, I just wanted to hit y'all with that little piece right there, man. Think on it. All my trolls, man, you got something to say. Listen, I'm telling you, we can do it. We can do it. I'm giving you an invitation. But let's really have intelligent dialogue, and let's examine it and go back and forth and really examine it, because the truth is the truth, and the conspiracy is a made up fabrication of the imagination. With that, I leave y'all in peace.
Prophecy is what we all have to go by now.